We've only just kicked it off and I'm struggling already. Hi everyone, it's Huey and Brownie.
I'm smiling under this. Can you believe it's come to this?
Well, we've got plenty to talk about today and we've got a massive show, so we can't waste any time, Brownie. Welcome everybody. Tools down, thanks to good work as we bring tradies together and build that network to help us bounce back from COVID-19. Just an extraordinary week here across Melbourne and Victoria, Brownie, and we've got an extraordinary show coming up too.
Big guess.
No,
Lockdown, mate. You know, I feel like Kanye West, now that he lives with Kim and Chris, he's in constant lockdown.
And so we've really got to get...
across that.
I've been told to make it short and sharp, mate. You've got to stop throwing stuff in and distracting me. Now, we've got George Bailey. We're going to talk a little bit of cricket. Obviously, Jimmy with NRL. Jimmy Smith, he's back. Then our other Jimmy with finance. We're going to make sure we do everything we can to connect you guys via the app. So we've got a big tech talk coming up a little bit later on to help you track materials through the supply chain. But up next, we're out on site with people on the front line. Sam, doing it tough out there with the mask on. We'll be back right after this.
Beautiful.
Tools down, thanks to good work. It's Huey with Brownie. And now it's time for... Absolutely nailed it. I'm not going to mess up one of those throws for the rest of the program. And right now we are going to the front line. Obviously really important that all the network of tradies and everybody, in fact, across Melbourne, Victoria and Australia take care of themselves. And you're going to see a glaring example of exactly the right way to operate as we head on site with Sam. And Sam, you've got Claire Scanlon from Scanlon and Makers, looking like a pretty professional setup over there, and some pretty masks as well.
I do. We actually set this up purely for this chat. No, not really. But yeah, with Claire, we do have our masks on. We're doing the right thing in Melbourne today, so that's good.
And Claire, you're very much a tradie on the more creative side of things. Can you just run us through a little bit of the sort of work you do when you're on site?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're painters and decorators, but we've sort of ended up going into the really old school kind of arty side of things, like doing, you know, lots of plaster work and lime washes and metallic finishes and all the kind of really creative stuff.
Yeah, it looks great. No, you're right, Sam.
A bit more about how you got into this line of work. Like apprenticeship, training.
I did not do an apprenticeship. I went the recognition of prior learning route because I actually studied fine art painting, so I've got a degree in painting. Then I actually worked for Porter's Paints for a number of years, making colours and doing training and working in their shops tinting paint. And so kind of picked up all those trade skills, a lot of them there, and then learn a lot on work sites. So bundle all that together and you've kind of got a bit of a mix of old school trade and, arty finishes.
I love it that we're actually smiling under our masks.
Yeah, I am smiling.
But you can't see it. We're having a good time here. And when you touched on old school trades, so did you work with other trades ever on site? Like, do you have a network of trades that you like to speak to and work with?
Yeah, I bother a lot of people for information and techniques and technical stuff. I'm a bit of a problem solver, so I never really say I can't do something. I'm always like, oh, well, let's find out, call a bunch of old builders or whether it's artists or chemists. Got a lot of friends with paint chemists.
What's a paint chemist?
They're the ones who, like, you know, in the lab brew up the different formulations for all the different types of paint you might use on site. Yep. So they're good ones to bother for, like, will this actually stick?
Amazing. So stick to bricks, plaster.
Yeah, because like for instance, you might have really old brick and you're wanting to use something that looks amazing, but is it actually going to give you the kind of durability? And is it even going to stick to the wall? Like, what's the preparation you need to do for that?
Yeah.
How many hours of sanding is it going to take?
Amazing.
Is it worth it?
And we're standing here amongst some equipment. Is there a favourite piece of equipment you like to use on a job?
So I wanted to say the Festal because I knew that was the kind of the cool answer, but really my favourite thing is this brush.
It looks like it's had some love.
I think it keeps off a bit of lime there. Yeah, so I know every other painter's going to absolutely slam me for this because it's covered in paint, like right to the end. But look, that's just what happens when you're lime washing. I'll give it a little bit of a bath at the end and it'll be good as new. But yeah, this is an old school lime brush and they last forever and they're beautiful. They're amazing.
Surely painters, though, paint gets everywhere. You're looking a bit clean on top, but paint down the bottom today. Was that because you knew you were going to be in public? Or?
It is, 100%. Like usually this is like all the way up to here.
I think they're calling that mullet dressing nowadays, aren't they? Isn't that what they're calling it? A bit of professional up the top and then a little bit of business downstairs. Beauty, guys. Hey, great for you to join us, Claire. And obviously, people can look you up on Instagram or via Good Work. And please, guys, it's good to see you covering up. Stay safe. And Sam, we'll catch up with you again on site next week.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Sam.
Thanks, Sam. Do stay safe out there, guys. Good to see you covering up. And we'll catch up with you again on site next week.
I assume working with paint, they'd be covering up all the time.
You'd have to be.
Yeah.
Although the smell's pretty good.
I'm not sure about that.
Not a bad one. Up next, I know you had a pretty ordinary night on the punt when it come to the AFL and the Doggies only just getting up against the Gold Coast Suns. We're also going to catch up with one of our favourites already.
Yep.
Another Jimmy Smith from NRL Nation joins us next. And right now, we've got to keep things moving, Brownie. George Bailey's coming up very soon, the former Aussie cricketer, so please stick around for that. But, wow, Jimmy Smith was just a sensation from NRL Nation when we had him on first. Sorry, guys.
By popular demand.
Just one sec, mate. Just got the... I think we've got a world exclusive just coming through from our producers. Just one second.
This will be a stitch up.
Right. Oh, wow.
No.
Hey, Jimmy, you're hearing this first. As we all look to diversify our portfolios, it appears that Campbell Brown is returning to the football field. Yes, getting it through right now. The Kilcunda Bass Football and Netball Club.
Yep.
I'm sure you're very familiar with them, Jimmy Smith, with all your understanding of local footy down here in Victoria. Campbell, can you confirm, as the world exclusive, that you will in fact be returning to the field for 2021?
I'll be assistant coach. I'm not sure if I'll be putting the boots back on to play. But you just got to give back to these country clubs post-COVID. They're on their knees. They've got to get back to what they were. It's the heart and soul of these country places. So
I'm sure there's a little bit of folding, changing hands too, Jimmy. What do you think about that? And that is a world exclusive. You have heard it first right here. Campbell Brown returning to the footy field.
It's big.
My thoughts were, wonder whether he's going to play goal shooter or wing attack. Sorry, which club are you? You at the footy club or the netball club?
No, I'll be spending a lot of time around the netball club. Don't worry about Jimmy.
I think the word you're looking for there, Brownie, is lurking.
Yeah, lurking, exactly right.
Rightio.
I'll jump straight into it because I know you don't know anything about NRL.
Nah, you're right.
Hey, speaking of job seeker and job keeper, another NRL coach bites the dust. Paul Green gone from the Cowboys, and there's a couple as well in the gun.
Hey, Brownie, the incredible thing is he's a premiership winner, right? And 3 years ago took the Cowboys to another grand final, a really unlikely grand final. So I suppose you get a lot of credits, don't you, when you win the first ever premiership for an organisation. Paul Green, there's no doubt that he's a great coach. There's no doubt he'll pick up a job somewhere else. Where that is going to be really interesting. But I think his time was done up at North Queensland. He's a really intense sort of bloke, as these coaches tend to be. And sometimes that can lose its way with the playing group. I think that was the case here. They're playing tonight. It'd be really interesting to see how they perform under the caretaker coach in Josh Hannay. But Paul Green, I think, will have offers left, right and centre. Maybe from the centre is the Brisbane Broncos, which will be really interesting to see what they do at the end of this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Eels continue their merry way. Another dominant win last night. Mitchell Moses was superb.
Oh, it was brutal. It was brutal.
Yeah.
Had so many players that were out of action because of injury, some of it head injury assessment. The Tigers did really well to hang in as long as they did. They had no footy in the second half. They're a really tough side. Michael Maguire's done an excellent job with the West Tigers, but you're right. You get that little bit of class with Mitchell Moses. Like the chip and chase, like as soon as he did the chip and chase last night, I don't know what would be the equivalent for you guys with the AFL, but mate, my mates and I all started texting each other going, how good's a chip and chase? This is amazing. Like this goes back to Phil Blake in the 1980s and he used to do it constantly. But yeah, brilliant bit of work from Mitch Moses. Really solid win from the Para Eels. And right now they're top of the comp.
Frank Packer's tackle, what do you think about that? There's been a little bit of criticism around him.
So Frank Packer, Were you talking about Kerry's old man?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Or are you talking about Russell
Russell,
Packer?
sorry.
You reckon I know nothing about NRL? Take it away, Jimmy.
Big Russ. No, he did the big jump tackle.
Yeah,
Choker tackle. What do you call it?
They call it a crusher.
Crusher, yeah.
They call it a crusher. And to be honest, I looked at it and I looked at it and I looked at it and I thought, okay, he might be in a little bit of trouble because of his bad record, but I didn't think there was too much in it. I don't think he came down with his full weight on the neck of the tackle player. He's got a really bad record, Russell Packer. And so, look, he'll probably miss a week, but I don't think it was too bad, Brownie.
Storm love beating up on poor sides. They did it last week. They've got another opportunity this week against the Broncos. How ugly could it get? Really. And it's been ugly a couple of times already this year for the Broncos and got really ugly last year against the Eels in the semi-final. That was 58-0. They've been beaten 59-0. The Melbourne Storm, who is just like, if you look in the dictionary under the word consistency, there's a photo of Craig Bellamy, right? He's just incredible. They haven't lost to a bottom four side since 2015. I don't anticipate them losing tonight to the Broncos. And our man reading the play, Jared Condon, from a betting perspective, he really liked the Melbourne Storm minus 30 points against the Broncos tonight. So, yeah, that could be a massacre, mate.
Go the Storm. Now, Jimmy, I'm not sure your AFL knowledge. We're just going to quickly chat AFL because, again, we've got George Bailey waiting to have a chat to us. Last night, the Bulldogs v the Gold Coast. The Doggies got up. You thought they would. How do you think they played?
Oh, yeah, they were consistent. It was pretty wet up there in Queensland, so that they grounded out. Full credit to the Gold Coast Suns.
Just Jimmy's mobile going on.
I'll just decline that call. It's from James Packer, upset that his grandfather's name had been taken in vain.
I've tarnished the legacies of the Packer family, and I've thrown Russell in there with Sir Frank.
All right, very quickly, your pick of the round.
I think the Tigers get rolled tonight by GWS. I'm pretty bullish that the Giants will bounce back.
Please tell me the Hawks are some chance.
Oh, you'd think so, but geez, they're playing poorly at the moment. Clarko's got some big decisions to make.
Rightio. Well, Jimmy, you can expect a phone call possibly from Bounty. I'm not sure if you know the Basque Coast, but Kilcunda's a beautiful part of the world. We might need someone in the midfield because I think he's calling me out for the ruck. So I reckon we'd be a formidable force. Thanks for your time. NRL Nation, what games are you doing this weekend?
Yeah, got the game tonight. We've got the Cowboys up against the Seagulls, and then on Sunday, the Titans up against the Panthers. Panthers win that one, they go to the top of the comp again. And just to let you know, I'm more goal defence, Brownie.
Good man. You can come down and join us.
Hey,
I
Jimmy.
love those pleated skirts. They're fantastic.
The old bum huggers. Hey, Jimmy, thanks. We'll look forward to catching up with you again soon. Brownie, right after this, I'm a bit nervous. We've got a former Australian cricketer with us, George Bailey, who's joining us on Tools Down. Stick around. And the good times just keep on rolling, Brownie. Let's try not to get any names wrong as part of the cricket segment. And George Bailey just did some amazing stuff. Obviously played for the Aussies. He's got a storied career in cricket. George,
but he captained them.
Well, okay. I was getting there. George Bailey joining us all the way from another island state in Tasmania. George, how's things, mate?
Yeah, going beautifully down here, mate. That's a good spot to be, Tassie, as it always is, but more so at the moment. Well,
Tassie's not the butt of all the jokes at the moment. Victoria is, which is quite unfortunate for us.
George, we always kick things off. We are a show built for tradies, thanks to good work. Have you ever been on the tools? What's your sort of experience as it goes to navigating your way around the household?
That's why I was a bit worried about coming on this show, mate. My best or worst tradie experience, absolutely zero experience, but this is how bad it is. A mate of mine and I, we were in a little flat that we had, and we had to remove the dishwasher and put another one in, and we just thought, oh, we'll just take the pipes off, and there'll be a bit of water because there'll be a bit of water in the pipes, I reckon. So we'll put a condom over this.
Oh, no.
We'll put a condom over the edge of the end. It was probably the first time that my housemate had used one of those as well, so I had to show him how to unwrap it. And we'll put that over the end. Well, you can imagine the bloody mains. It was absolute carnage, and turned out we didn't know where the mains were either. So 24-hour plumber later, and towels and stuff everywhere. He turned it off, and then sort of had this stupid look on his face. What are you like thinking? But the worst part about it was he's standing there in ankle deep water and this condom floats through his legs.
Oh, no.
So, no, I'll leave it to the experts now, mate.
It wasn't a ribbed condom, was it?
Banana.
Keep moving. You go with the cricket questions, Brownie.
Yeah, mate. Talk us a little bit about your career. Obviously, captained Australia. There was a lot of talk about your stance as well. It was, for someone that loves things a little bit out of the box, your stance was magnificent. How have you enjoyed retirement and what do you think of your journey?
Yeah, I love retirement. I still see a lot of the Tassie boys and particularly this time of year have really enjoyed finishing up a coffee with them and then hearing that they're off for fielding practice. And I don't have to do any of that anymore. Mate, I've really, it's the first time. It's funny with a sporting career, you're always looking forward the whole time. And it wasn't until the end of my career that I actually took the time to look back and get a little bit of perspective on the journey itself and start to reflect on how much fun it had been as well.
Hey, George, we know with the AFL and the NRL, we've got larger groups of blokes who are isolating themselves as a result of COVID-19. Cricket, to me, in terms of the Amazon documentary, that was just a ripper insight into cricket and the personalities that sit behind it and everyone getting together. With the T20 World Cup coming up and obviously the guys having to think about isolating in the various countries they're going to be visiting, what do you think is going to be the hardest challenge for cricketers when it comes to that sort of isolation mentality or sticking together as a smaller group?
From tour to the isolation bit's not so bad. There's a couple of countries that you tour that you're basically in isolation anyway. It's very much arrive at the airport, bus to the hotel, you go to a cricket ground and the hotel, and that's it. So for a lot of guys, they'd be used to that and used to spending lots of time together for long periods. So I think that adjustment will be easy compared to what some of the footballers would have gone through. The big challenge for cricketers is you start to map sort of 8, 10, 12 months ahead and factoring a few quarantine sessions in. And, you got to be really conscious that there could be some boys who might not see their family for 6, 8, 9 months. And it's probably more that sort of that mental or player welfare aspect that we have to be really careful of at the moment, and just trying to make sure that we work through every possible scenario, because that's the other thing, that you make a plan today and next week it's changed anyway.
Yeah.
George, what do you think of the state of cricket at the moment? There's been plenty of talk about maybe Test cricket dropping a day and becoming 4-day Test matches. I'm still a lover of one-day cricket, but T20's the new kid on the block that gets all the attention. Where do you think cricket's at?
That's the beauty, I reckon, of cricket. You've got 3 formats and they each give you 3 different aspects, and every now and then you get a bit of noise around possible changes, but then you have these great Test series. I think the last Ashes series was unreal, and a couple of key crucial, and that's what actually makes Test cricket the best. I reckon the same with the One-Day World Cup in England. We weren't looking at sort of 350 and 400 scores, but I reckon the semi-final, the New Zealand semi-final, and then the classic final between England and New Zealand. I mean, that low-scoring game, but absolute classic game. So it's all. I think the real key with cricket, probably the same with all sports, is making sure that each game's got context, and you've just got a good competition, and then the rest, I reckon, stop trying to change the rules. I see there's another format that's come out now. There's about six teams playing at once. I don't even know. That's like coming up with an idea of 8 mates at 4 a.m. on the piss and everyone's just throwing in their 2 Bubsworth. It's just leave it alone and I reckon let the players go. There's some quality players, world-class players and world-class games being played. Let it go.
Yeah, that's right. Sporting organisations just quick to change things, aren't they? Hey, really quickly, Tim Payne's done a magnificent job as captain of Australia through a pretty tumultuous couple-of-year period. How long do you think he's got left, and who would you anoint as the next captain of the Australian Test side?
Look, I reckon the way athletes are now, cricket's got this bit of a reputation, I guess, and the history is that people sort of retired at 31, 32, but guys are fitter now. I reckon Payne would be fitter now than he was when he was 23 or 24. So there's a mental battle. There's obviously a physical and a performance component, but that's certainly been one of my key prerogatives now that I'm a selector is take the age aside and just make sure guys are performing. And as you said, his leadership has been absolutely superb, I reckon, through a really tough 2 years. There's a couple of big series coming up in the next sort of 12 months, including the Test World Championship, which Australia are really keen to be a part of and win. And I know Payne's got that as a big goal in his mind as well. So I certainly see him getting Australia to there. In
terms of the 3 sides that have been selected as a selector, can you give us a name or two that you're really keen to see, you know, a bit of a transformation from, or people, or some players we could watch in terms of who's the next big thing?
Oh, there's a couple. Look, you've got to stick up for your own a little bit. You're not allowed to show bias, but I think Riley Meredith is a young fast bowler who's shown a bit of promise over the last couple of years and was pretty exciting in last year's Big Bash across all formats. Cameron Green over in Western Australia is a guy. He's about 7'2", bowls about 150 clicks, but he's injured at the moment, and so he had to focus on his batting last year and just peeled off 3 centuries in the Sheffield Shield. So that's got everyone up and about. He's pretty exciting as well. Mate, there's heaps, to be honest. It's a pretty exciting time, I reckon, around Australian cricket, and that's going to be, you know, one of the great things I reckon coming out of this is that at the moment all the Australian players are at home training with their state squads. So all these young guys are getting such great access to the best in the business.
George, when you do take clinics, and obviously you go down and you look after some young kids, do you ever teach them about your betting stance, or do you have to be a little bit more stock standard about it?
We've got it up on the screen now.
Yeah, and that's not even the worst of it. That's very, very vanilla. I get these poor pictures from these kids. Their dad sending through saying, "Look, he's trying to help. I just think you poor bastard, like just that normally, just of all the people you could watch." A tradie show. I'm sure is there only one way that you can do a trade or build something, or you put it together? Like, honestly, who gives a shit? I'm all about the outcome.
Yeah.
Well, mate, it's funny you should say that. We've just got a shot on screen now of one of our followers, Chock's Chat. He's decided to go with the Bailey stance.
Yeah, look at that. I love it. Yeah, it happens to the best of us, Chock.
He's sort of twisting the... I wouldn't be going up a ladder. Oh, yeah, no. That's no good. Chock's Chat doing a great George Bailey impression. And mate, we really enjoy your time. Good luck with everything you're doing in retirement, even though you look younger, fresher than both Brownie and myself. The open shirt's working wonders for you, mate, and clearly life.
I reckon he's obviously been doing a little bit of painting as well in isolation. Are they your paintings just in the background?
Yeah, I've just been experiencing a little bit of work with the fingers there, and coming along. I can't quite reach the top of the page yet.
Going beautifully. Thanks for your time, mate.
Love it. Hey, George, thanks very much. Great interview, great chat, and looking forward to the Aussie cricketers getting back at the crease very, very soon. Up next, we're going to be talking a bit of tradie tech. We're going to chat with Brett from Matrak. Stick around. Love the fact that we are right on track with the timesheet. We have a massive show and we're just going to keep on rolling, and it's time for... Now, what we're trying to do, Brownie, is bring the tech talk up a little bit. How do you go when it comes to talking apps and all things technology?
I'm probably the most technologically illiterate person on the planet. I still can't work out iCloud, so be fascinated to work out how Matrak works.
Just before we get to our next guest, Brett from Matrak. So I hear you've lost some of your epic photos of Kilimanjaro.
Well, I haven't lost them. They're just on my old phone, which is dead.
Right.
And I can't.
You didn't put them in the cloud?
No cloud.
OK. Well, maybe we might see if Brett can join us. Brett from Matrak, great to have you with us, mate.
How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. And I've got to say, when I heard that we were going to have a guest on about a technology that's really revolutionising the trade industry, no offence, mate, and not to be an ageist, but I didn't expect someone as baby-faced as you.
Yeah, I'm definitely look young for my age.
Oh, you're young anyway. Can you give us...
Everyone's young compared to you, mate. Like, you're nearly 50, let's be honest. And it's the young generation that are building these apps. Is it true you started building this app at uni when you were 21?
Yeah, I was 21. So I was working for my dad's window installation company just outside of uni. Basically got put in charge of organising all of our materials and deliveries on site. And basically experienced kind of firsthand all these frustrations of we're getting all of our materials sent in from China. There's kind of communication barriers, language barriers. No one has any clue what's going on site. So yeah, build an app for myself to just keep track of all this information. And one thing led to another, and here we are.
What sort of stuff are you getting up to when you were 21, Brownie? Developing apps, creating a worldwide empire?
Chasing a football around and partying. That was about it, mate. No apps.
Well, Matrak, a lot of our viewers will probably be familiar with it because you have partnered with a number of large companies to help them sort of track those materials through the supply chain. Do you want to give us a bit of a rundown of what it looks like and what it's about?
Yeah, easy. So Matrak is like a global supply chain network. And so basically we make it really, really easy for manufacturers and installers to keep track of all their materials and progress on site. What that looks like in practice is any company involved in the construction life cycle can upload their drawings to Matrak website. We then analyse those drawings. We can identify all the different materials required for a specific trade. And then we make those drawings interactive. So you can actually click on those different materials on the drawings and you can update the status of your work directly from the app.
And is this actually what it would look like if we had it on our phone and we downloaded
Yeah, exactly. So you can see here that we've basically colour-coded all of these different apartments based on these different tasks that we've been assigned. And so to update the status, it's really simple. You literally just click on a room and you click complete, and that's done. And so we've really tried to make it as simple as possible so that anyone working on the tools on site or in a factory can just quickly, click on this, bring up some more information if they want. We can pull a lot of information from the drawings directly, but it's fully customizable, so you can track literally anything you want. You can take photos, upload other documents, add comments. So it's basically just trying to share all of this information in one place and just have it in your pocket.
The good thing about apps, I suppose, is that it can go global quite quickly. And we're talking off here about you've got a great relationship with some people over in China, but it's also going right across the world, this app, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So we have quite a lot of our customers are based in China. We have a lot of manufacturers and suppliers that will actually put Matrak QR code stickers on all the materials as soon as they enter the production line. They'll have their factory workers scanning the materials as they come through. And that means anyone back based in Australia can literally just see the colours changing on their drawings of exactly where all these materials are.
So effectively what you're talking about, the problem was you had too much paperwork, there were language barriers in terms of getting an understanding where all the materials were in the supply chain, and you tried to fix it?
Yeah, literally.
So for those people who are watching who might still be operating off, old school, traditional ways of doing it, I'm sure there are heaps of people out there.
Yeah, exactly.
What's it really going to mean for them and their business to have this sort of technology at their fingertips?
Exactly. So for installers, like my dad's company, instead of the guys writing down the work they've completed in their diaries every day, they just bring out the drawings on their phone, they click on those areas and they say it's done. And because you're tracking that information digitally, it means we can generate invoices and other reports automatically. Same for manufacturers. By scanning each of those materials as they come through, it means they can generate packing lists, efficiency reports. But what's actually really powerful about Matrak is when these companies start connecting and tracking this information collaboratively, because now it means that the installers can have full visibility of what the manufacturers have packed, what deliveries are coming to site, where those materials need to go, what materials are in each container. And similarly for the manufacturers, they can get notifications whenever the installers have, if they find something's defective, needs to be replaced. So it's by connecting them together, it means that both companies are going to be a lot more efficient.
Unbelievable.
You're taking investors at the moment?
We are actually.
It's too late.
We're already done, are we? So no chance for us to get on board, but plenty of chance for your customers to get on board and try.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, really simple. Anyone can just go straight to the Matrak website, sign up for free, and start uploading their drawings and start using it. And yeah,
Jeff Bezos was a young bloke when he came up with a concept, and he made $18 billion overnight just recently.
Well,
we're not quite there yet.
Not yet, but it's a great idea and it's going places.
You talk about technologies solving problems that are really going to help people who are on the tools. Brett, you are a genius, and we're humbled to be in your company, and we really appreciate you making the effort to come in, particularly as we've got all the masks and lockdown going across COVID. Your old man would be very proud. I just can't believe it. Do
you know anything about iPhone Cloud and things like that?
No, I'm not helping you with that. Jesus Christ. Why does this always happen?
I know, it does.
Brett, hey, thanks heaps. Matrak, check it out online, and Brett, I reckon we'll be having you in a couple of years' time, and just great stuff, mate. Very well done.
Thank you.
Sounds great.
Thanks for joining us. Right after this, we're trying to get the old Triple M band back together.
Saturday night team.
Someone who used to work with us on Triple M footy, Wayne Schwass, is doing great things for wellbeing and mental health, courtesy of his charity PukaUp, and Schwatter is going to join us next. Stick around. We keep on rolling on, Brownie. Tools down thanks to good work as we try and connect tradies through COVID-19. And we don't just want to connect them on the tools, Brownie. We also want to make sure that we're all feeling okay in our headspace. Because
more important than ever.
I know you've had a gutful of it, and you've got a young family at home. We've got a lot of people homeschooling, and then we've got the guys out and about, literally on the front line when it comes to COVID-19. So we thought, why not talk about well-being with someone you and I have got a long affinity with, sort of bringing back the old band from Triple M footy. Saturday nights, we were up in Queensland, we were over in Adelaide, we even went to New Zealand
yes, we had a good
for
time.
the Anzac Day clash one time. Sort of haven't seen you in a while, and Wayne Schwass from PukaUp joins us. Great to have you here, Schwatter, and thanks for your time.
My pleasure, boys. It's probably a good idea that us three don't go on the road often anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We can't argue with that. Hey, Schwatter, you've basically dedicated your life now to PukaUp and mental health and well-being. You know, it's extremely challenging at the moment. What everyone's going through. How's things on your front?
Oh, look, I'd be lying, Brown, if I didn't say that. You know, I like everybody else, has been challenged by the current situation. I'm having some really good days, and there are other days where it's not so good. But fortunately for me, you know, I've got pardon the pun, I've got a toolbox which allows me to make decisions proactively and make sure that those difficult days stay as difficult days and they don't extend into difficult periods. But outside of that, this is a really difficult and challenging time for a lot of people, and mental health and wellbeing is something that I've been incredibly passionate about for a long time. But through COVID, it's become even more important because, unfortunately, a lot more people are starting to have a negative experience as a result of what we're all living through.
Now, Schwatter, for those sort of in the northern states that mightn't be familiar with sort of your AFL career, do you want to give us a bit of a background of you making the transition from AFL, maybe some of the challenges early through your life, and then what led you to PukaUp and the work you're doing right now?
Yeah, look, Huey, I retired 20 years ago, and I think the challenge is, and Brownie would attest to this, and anyone that's worked in a career for a long time, the challenge that I experienced is that what was my identity post-footy, because all of my feedback that I ever got during a lot of my adult life was related to what I did on a football field. So the adjustment was to try and work out who I was as an individual and what other qualities and skill sets and traits did I possess as a person beyond being a football player. And you know, some of that's been really challenging, but I've got to say that without those, you know, transition out of career, creating a new career in the media, establishing PukaUp, going through my own mental health challenges, without all of those experiences, I wouldn't be in the position that I am as a businessman. PukaUp wouldn't be existing, and more importantly, I wouldn't be the person that I am. I'm not perfect, but you know, I've come to learn a lot about myself, and I'm comfortable with the person that I am. And through those difficult situations, I've grown a lot, and I'm really grateful for that.
Schwatter, you used the phrase when we spoke just before about developing a toolbox, which is pretty appropriate considering we're a tradie show. For men and women out there watching that are going through their ups and downs and having their dark times at the moment, what tips do you have for them just to reconnect with themselves and get through the period?
Yeah, I think that's a really important question to ask, Brownie, because, you know, we invest into our physical health and we develop a toolbox which allows us to look after and care for our physical health because we understand the value and importance of that. But it's also important that we develop a toolbox which allows us to look after and care for our mental health. And the things that I would encourage people to start thinking about, if they're not already thinking about, from my experience, this works for me, the most important things that you can start to implement on a daily basis is what is your sleep pattern like? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you prioritising your sleep? Are you tired? Do you feel tired, overwhelmed, stressed, like you're not coping, which is normal? Getting more sleep allows you to get the necessary rest and restorative practice physically and emotionally. That's number one. Number two, and I'm not telling anyone what to do here, but if you really want to prioritise your sleep and you're using alcohol on a regular basis, alcohol is a depressant. It lowers your mood. It impacts your ability to get quality sleep. So if you want to get better sleep, look at minimising or eliminating alcohol for a period of time. That allows you to get the rest that you need. What are you eating? What are you drinking? And more importantly, or equally, what are you consuming? And what I mean by that is what are you reading, listening and watching on TV or social media? If it's negative, get rid of it because it has a negative impact on your life. Are you exercising? And if you're not, get out and start walking because physiologically and emotionally, really important for us. Number 5, are you connecting with your support network and talking to them about the challenges and the stresses that you are experiencing? And the other one that I'll finish off with, Brownie, is whatever we feel, anxiety, overwhelm, sad, scared, fearful, they are legitimate feelings and emotions. Don't justify it and don't apologise for it. This is an unprecedented time. Your feelings and emotions and thoughts are yours. They're relevant for you. Acknowledge them, don't deny them, don't ignore them, and talk to the key people in your network.
Schwatter, I can't echo those sentiments enough. So, Brownie, you know that I'm an employee at Reece, and PukaUp and Wayne Schwass partner with Reece. I was fortunate enough to watch a video with Schwatter in early doors through COVID-19. I wasn't able to see my kids because they live in a different neck of the woods and they've been in lockdown, so I was drinking a little bit. As a result of watching Schwatter's show, and this isn't any form of testimonial, I was drinking pretty heavily. I'm almost 100 days of not drinking, Schwatter, and I really can't talk enough about the benefits of just being able to watch it. Again, whether you want to moderate or you want to abstain, the choice is yours. But you're right, Schwatter, there are just little tips and tricks you can do that are just going to change things incrementally. And a big thanks to you, because it certainly made me feel a lot better, and really thought it would be important to share not just my story, but also the great work you're doing, because I think it really will benefit people if they're feeling at the lowest of lows, particularly in Victoria as we sort of go through this second wave.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, Huey. I mean, it takes a level of courage to be able to make that decision. Alcohol impacts every area of your life. People will make their decisions, and I understand why people self-medicate with alcohol and other things, because I did it for a long period of time. But the really empowering decision that you make is that we all have choices we can make that can have a really positive impact on our well-being, or it can have a negative, and the choice is always ours. And if we're prepared to make those decisions, it impacts all of our lives in every area. And if you think about being a parent, if we're not drinking alcohol and we're rested and we feel good about ourselves, not surprisingly, our kids and our family get a better version of ourselves, so everybody wins.
Yeah. No, here, Schwatter. And if anyone is looking for either immediate support because they are either finding themselves in a form of personal crisis, or they just want to try and find new ways to just sort of raise them up and level up their mental and personal health and well-being, obviously they can visit you at PukaUp.com.
Yeah, absolutely, Huey. Instagram, Facebook, we're on Twitter. If people want to get educated, learn more about how to look after their well-being, they can reach out and contact us, because we've got a host of information available for people.
Yeah.
Thanks, Schwatter. One of the most passionate blokes that I've ever worked with. So keep up the good work, mate.
Yeah, mate. And it really is a great story to follow. PukaUp.com. Wayne Schwass joining us there. Gee, it'd be good for us all to get back together on some sort of footy broadcast or something, wouldn't it?
Oh, yes.
Maybe.
We can do it. Hey, look at Jimmy.
Head back over to New Zealand.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow. We've just done the transition and I haven't even thrown to the spiel. We've had to shorten Jimmy up this week. I don't know how many times I've mentioned the massive guest list we've had on today. Yeah. So unfortunately, boys, Jimmy, as we welcome you.
No games between us either.
No challenge time today. As much as I would have loved to have seen you, Jimmy, go 3-zip up, today we've got to make it short and sharp. And we have plenty to get through. Jimmy with finance, how are you?
Good afternoon, gents. Nice to see you. Happy Friday to you both.
Yeah, it's been another great week.
Let's get stuck into it, mate. Run us through the budget deficits first. We saw all the big news from Frydenberg yesterday. What's that going to mean for us on the ground?
Well, you don't really see a lot of effect from such a large government initiative, but what's happening is the government has borrowed some more money to make sure that we get through the next 2 years, essentially. And it is the largest deficit we've faced since the Second War. Even through the GFC, even through the recession of the early 90s and the late 70s, where we're borrowing a substantial amount. Now, the actual quantum of the debt of $864 billion is not really the right mark to be looking at. We're looking at the percentage of the GDP, the percent of what we actually earn and do in this country over the debt. And it's going to tap out at 0.7, which is quite substantially high for Australians anyway.
Yeah, JobKeeper and JobSeeker updates, Jimmy. They've been extended. They've been cut in half in some areas, but what are the updates there?
As expected, they've extended the JobKeeper program, a very successful program which has been well received across the market. Essentially, it's the same rules, same tests. So at the end of September and then at the end of December, businesses have an opportunity to test their COVID effect on their business. And if they do meet the 30% drop off, then they continue on receiving JobKeeper payments. With the slight adjustments, they're just bringing down the $50 down to $1,200. And if an employee works less than 20 hours a week, it goes from $1,500 back to $750. So what they're doing is they're just adjusting it slightly to reflect a more accurate position of where the employee was before COVID hit.
And any of this, does any of the announcements or the recent stimulus measures in Victoria or federally, what's the impact on BAS? Or is there anything that our tradies should be watching out for in terms of things they're submitting monthly where they can either benefit from government stimulus? Are there any tips you could give them on how they could better balance the books in terms of the monthly BAS?
Nothing new with respect to their tax compliance. The PAYG cash boost, which is another incentive that they put in place in March, will continue through to the end of September. You may have noticed the businesses out there that have lodged their June activity statement already, they may have already received a bit of cash boost back. But that's the only incentive on their compliance at this time.
Jimmy, before we leave you, again, really enjoyed all the insights Jimmy's provided right throughout this period. You're giving us absolutely up-to-date advice. The recession.
Glad you said recession.
The Treasurer's sort of, it feels like he's bracing us for some bad news when we get into what we would call sort of the second quarter of the financial year, or sort of November, December and then early next year. What sort of vibes are you getting, and how can tradies sort of really create that safety net to get them through until sort of mid-late next year when hopefully things start getting back to normal?
Well, we will see a more negative effect on our economy. Unemployment will get as high as 9.7, even 10% before we're over the next 6 months. However, initiatives are in play and they still haven't taken effect yet. So tradies should be organised. They should be diligent and be doing good, profitable work, and be patient. Be patient, I think, is the best way here. And we're all going to get through this. Yeah,
no, we are, Jimmy, and with your support and the great team at
Client Partners at clientpartners.com.au.
Is it just me, or has he got a makeup artist working with him?
I asked last week. Apparently
no way, guys.
It's got to be a solarium or something. The hues
what are you talking about?
Well, you're looking very sprightly, as if you've been heading into a solarium or something like that, Jimmy.
The bright lights agree with you, Jimmy.
Oh, well, it must be the gloomy Melbourne mornings that must be good for my complexion or something.
Jimmy, always great. We'll catch up with you again next week, mate. Stay safe and look after yourself and your family.
Thanks, guys. Be well.
Beauty. We're back to wrap things up right after this. Well, Brownie, I need a Bex and a little bit of a lie down. That was a massive effort by you. And it was great to hear again from Jimmy from NRL Nation. Make sure you're tuning in over the weekend. Plenty of big action happening in the NRL. George Bailey, what a great bloke he is. Schwatter from our days at Triple M. We got the
very pertinent messaging, especially at the moment. So make sure you take that in and take care and look after each other.
Yeah, and no matter where you are, we know masks might seem like a bit of an inconvenience, but do the right thing by yourselves, your family and the community, particularly those of you on the front line. Mask up, stay safe, and we'll do this all again at same time, same network.
I'm an asthmatic, mate. Again, think about me, I can hardly breathe at the best of times.
Just make sure you got the ventilator on. Yeah. Look after yourself. We'll see you next week, guys.
Hey, just make sure you follow Kanye on Twitter. He's just dropping bomb after bomb.
What is it with you?
No one can survive. It's extraordinary behaviour.
Kardashian, what do they call it? The Kardashian.
Lamar Odom, now Reggie Bush, Chris Humphries.
Oh, stop it.